Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today and joining us live this evening for our Autism at Home webinar. Tonight, we'll be discussing on the topic of helping a child with autism, or more a teenager autism who is navigating through puberty. My name is Stephanie Wan, and I am one of the supervisors at Early Autism Project, or EAP. And and we also have joining us today Joseph Isaacs, who is our lead instructor Autism at Home and also director at EAP. Hi Joe, thanks for joining in.
Hi Steph, we had a bit of technical glitch, but I think we're
sorry
all
about
good
that, guys.
now. No problem. I think it's good. It's what happens when psych majors try and do IT internally. So thanks, Steph. I think we're all good at the moment.
Great. And also joining us today, we actually have Miss Tiona James, a mom of 4 children, 2 of which have autism. So Tiona, thank you so much for joining us today. If you guys remember, actually from the last webinar we had, Tiona joined us in that first webinar on the topic of challenging behaviors. But Tiona, for any viewers who are joining in for the first time, could we maybe hear from you, maybe to hear about you, your family, what you do? Yep, Tiona, take it away.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I am a mother of 4 beautiful children. My eldest too is under the spectrum of autism. So my eldest daughter is 14 years old this year, and Aaron is my son, who is now 12. So there's 12, 14, and I have a sorry, I have to think about their ages because it's like 4.
You have
12, 14, 13. No, sorry, 12, 14, 11, and 5 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, it's great. It's been a real journey, and I'm trying to navigate through having to be a good, responsible mom and trying to talk and understand my children at this point. Yeah.
That's amazing, Tiana.
Yeah, better.
So good. So good. You look great, and so you look young and great, considering you have 4 children, considering your oldest is 14 years old, and considering 2 of them are on the spectrum. So it's really wonderful to have you back. This is actually the second time we're doing a webinar with yourself. And the last time when you came on, you shared a few challenges that Abriana, we were talking about Abriana, your 14-year-old, your eldest daughter. So do you want to just share a bit, and I think Steph will put up just a summary slide of some of the challenges she was having at that time. You want to just share that, just to summarize that again for whoever that might be joining us today.
Oh, okay. So, so Abriana actually, sorry. Yeah, so previous to this, the first session, we had a lot of aggressive behaviors. So, so you think, I had lots of dealings with her, not being able to actually communicate with her, and I was struggling as a mom. I just wanted to communicate with her, and I found that I couldn't. And all I heard from her was a lot of scratching, a lot of pulling my hair, a lot of so those behaviors, I wanted that to end.
Yeah.
And
challenging behaviors.
Yeah, and
specifically aggression. Yeah.
And I wasn't hearing any words. Which I know in her capacity, she actually did have words because she went to kindergarten, she could read books, she could say 1 or 2 words here and there. So it's not like she doesn't have language, she does, but I was just wondering, where does the language go when behavior, when she gets anxiety and her anxiety goes up? So I really want to help in that area. I just found that I was
struggling at that time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you shared also that it was like she was wanting to stay in her room all the time, and then there were some challenging times as well, like family time or playground time. I think there were some very challenging behaviors. So I recall then we talked about a few key strategies. To whoever who's joining us for the first time today, welcome. We're back here with Tiona, mom of 4. her eldest two have autism, are on the spectrum. And essentially we talked a lot about having very clear communication to her. So bi-directional communication, two-way communication. We also talked about increasing motivating activities and increasing like motivation in general. And then lastly, we talked about having a schedule, not just a schedule that would like, force her to do things, but more like a schedule that was successful for her. And that included like routines, it included chores, and maybe some activities that she really likes. I think you said she likes music and those kind of interactive type of activities. So just wondering, Tiana, like maybe you could share with us like which one of those were you able to implement, and did you see any changes? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we as a family sat down and we tried to be very practical about what we can and what we cannot do. So we just wanted to target just one or two things. And one of the main things we wanted to do was get that schedule up. So whether it's just getting pictures or whether it's just drawing up, because my other daughter, the 10, 11-year-old is really good at drawing. So we actually got them to like, hey, we got to try to help Abriana to talk. So let's put our skills together. Let's do this. So Alyssa would come up with a schedule, a drawn out schedule. And she would go, hey, Abriana, is there anything else you want to do in the afternoon? Or, things like that. So then according to what Abriana likes in the afternoon, the whole schedule stays the same except the afternoon. So then she gets to say, if I just want to rest, I don't want to be disturbed, she can do that too.
Wow.
Or if she wants to have playtime, then she can choose and that will be on the schedule. But whatever it is, it's a drawn out schedule. So that's the one thing that we did implement. And we saw a massive drop. Like when I was having that webinar with you, we were talking about behaviors like every day, 2 to 3 times a day, and so massive that police came. So from that webinar, we saw a massive drop just because we chose to show interest. So like at least a 70% drop of behavior. So like from a week, one day, 3 times she was reacting. There was like a week. It came down to like a week of no behavior except maybe 1 to 2 days of behavior. So like, so 1 day, 3 times became 1 week, 1 time, 2 times, and it was just that we had set out a structure that was workable for us as parents. I could take sessions for her in the morning. Sam could take sessions for her, just 1 session in the morning and 1 section in the evening. The children could go in the afternoon in her room. And then at night, Sam and I helped to like massage her down. So these are the things that we did to help bring in the fact that we are still interested in her. I think it's very easy. And I think what I was doing wrong, I actually see that on hindsight now, is I was leaving her alone. I was leaving her alone because I didn't know what to do with her.
Right.
So when I had this thing, this webinar, and you guys told me, look, get the schedule out, think about what she likes, it really got me thinking.
Wonderful.
And I really appreciate that, because my family now can actually have dinner, which is what I remember saying in the previous, it was not possible. She can actually sit down now and she can tolerate. She still has a hand in her ear. She still goes like that. But she can tolerate them now, which is supposed to last time she would just start hitting and scratching, So I'm so looking out for the small victories here.
Yeah, absolutely. That is so great, and I think I love what you said, because we really honor you for the challenges that you have to face, like you and Sam, your husband, having 4 children and 2 on the spectrum is really no joke. And I think, of course, we as the professionals, it's easy to give that advice, but then the implementation is always challenging as a parent to do, because you're doing it on your own and to have to follow through. And I think it's just amazing to hear that it also became like a family project, like your kids, you're involving your other kids as well. And that's just so wonderful to see, because you're actually having a real strong sense of family unity, and they're not being left out, nor are they, feeling any kind of neglect. And I think a few things that you really said, you put in the schedule, the structure. But what I love is you also like gave her own choices, because she is 14, the teenager, like slowly becoming like wanting her own choices, her own autonomy and liberties, and giving her that choices in the afternoons. I think that also has really contributed to that. And then the major thing that you said, I think that for anyone listening and you're having some challenges at home, I just love what you said, that you really started to occupy her time and give her that attention. And a lot of the times we see challenging behaviors, children manifest because they are wanting to get attention, but they're getting it in a negative way, and they're doing something challenging to get attention. And what you just did is you just flipped that, and you basically went, no, I'm going to give you attention before the behavior. So much of proactivity. I mean, you're like an ABA therapist. You just did it. Yay. Mom therapist. We should have hashtag mom therapist, mom ABA. Mom. But this is why we're so passionate about what we do, because the principles of ABA really work. I mean, this is without a one-to-one program anymore. It's without the whole team coming into your house and, you know, all the usual ABA sort of like materials and all. It's just the basic principles of simplifying, breaking it down, pairing it with reinforcement, practicing, being consistent. I mean, just so happy to hear that. And I think the biggest reward to hear for all of us, and I think I'm not looking at the chat right now, but I'm sure on the EAP front, everyone is cheering and so excited, would be definitely because to hear, like, you know, that your quality of life has become more meaningful. Would you say that, like, because from 2 to 3 behaviors a day to 2 to 3 behaviors a week, even the fact that you're monitoring that is so ABA, because it's measurable. You know, you're actually checking, okay, is it really going down? And you actually observed it going down. And so would you just want to comment about, do you feel like that quality of life has improved for your family?
Yeah, I mean, the proof is that I don't have scratches on my arm anymore.
Wow.
And my children...
Thank God. That's wonderful.
And my children don't feel so scared around her. The other thing, you know, they used to be freaked out. They would just run to the other room. Every time she passes by, it's like, go run. No. You know?
Yeah.
No, now it's let's do this. Let's try.
Yeah. Wonderful.
It's
that's
I'm
so great
grateful.
to hear.
I'm so grateful. I tell you, I want to be a family, but it's so tough when all she does is bite and scratch, and you know, I needed help so much, and I'm just so grateful.
Wow, thank you for coming on this webinar. And we, Steph and I, really believe that whatever you're sharing here, so many other parents are also going to be impacted, because there's countless numbers of families in Malaysia and also all over the world that would have similar challenges. And just by putting some simple strategies that for the rest of anybody tuning in, you can actually go on autismathome.co, and everything is there laid out, simple strategies for any family to follow. So with that, Steph, I'll pass it back to you. I think we're going to go into a different topic then, because that whole aspect, keep going with that, Tiana. And of course, if you ever need any like tuning, fine tuning or support, we're definitely here to help you. But I think today Steph's going to take us into the whole part on puberty.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much, Jo, and thank you, Tiona, for sharing about your experiences and how strategies have worked for the family. So then without further ado, we're going to go into our main topic for today, which, as Jo said, is on the topic of puberty. So just a quick note for everyone watching, as we are going to this topic, we may cover some sensitive topics. So just to look out that maybe some of this content may not be the most appropriate if there are any children around who are under 13. But with that said, then maybe we'll just get right into it. So Tiana, as you know, we talk about Abriana. She's a 14-year-old girl. She's, you know, more teenager than child at this point, and she, like many other kids her age, are going through puberty, which, you know, brings with it its fair share of bodily and psychological changes. So maybe before we go into your questions, Tiana, if you could tell us a little bit more about what are some of the puberty-related challenges that Abriana's currently going through.
Yeah. So basically, I just get straight into it, that the cleanliness part of it. Abriana attained puberty at 12. We had support from therapists from EAP when she was 10 to 11. So she had been prepared with very basic things like a social story and scheduling on how to anticipate her bodily changes and what she needs to do with a pad. The cleaning up of a pad, the throwing away of a pad, stuff like that. So absolutely prepared. So I, as a mom, I was prepared to read that social story to her every night. And she, as a person, I think she was ready to anticipate that too. But what I think both me and Abriana was not prepared to anticipate was the whole emotional, hormonal changes that came with that whole thing. So yes, we were prepared with what to do with the pad and how to clean it up. But her mood swings that really, which I think also came a little bit into what we talked about last week, the aggression that came with it. You know, there was one time at home when she was just before her period. I didn't realize that these emotional charged situations came close to her period time until I started to sit down and think, when and exactly are these happening? So then when I realized that it was actually happening just before her period, or on the day of her period, she started to actually use her teeth and to claw at me and to use her teeth to pull my hair out. And you know, being a mom, I just want to give in to her aggression because I know she just needs to release herself. So I used to just let her bite my hair off and push me down to the floor until she feels a release. But that's, as a mom, I thought that was helping her. I don't know. So the point is, it came, this whole aggression escalated every time before puberty. So that was one thing that I didn't know how to deal with. Secondly is the cleanliness of keeping her pad and knowing, I don't know whether you call it, because they say autism children are very highly innocent. So they don't know a lot of things. So I don't know whether, is it they don't know, does she know that her blood is staining her mattress? Does she know that her blood is dirty and that she cannot sleep on the same mattress the night after that? Does she know that that is considered dirty and not clean? So these basic things of dirty and clean, should I be bringing that across to her a little bit more? Because what she does is take her pad, I'm sorry, sometimes, sorry, the public, it's going to get really graphic here. So sometimes she takes her pad and she goes to the washing machine, and because the washing machine is near the bathroom, so she just takes it off with the blood and everything and she just puts it into the washing machine. And sometimes the washing machine is just washed with a whole lot of clothes, so it's all clean. So then she just puts a dirty pad inside and she goes straight into the bathroom. So she's thinking that the washing machine now is her place to put dirty clothes, which is, I've taught her to take her clothes to put into the washing machine so I could start the washing machine. However, during her period time, there are some times when the clean clothes is inside. So yeah, that's just one part of it. So my question is, how do is it really innocence? Is it really she doesn't know what is clean and what is dirty? Should I, as a mom, be expecting to tell, should she be more like, should I be like more like, you know, you should know this is clean, this is dirty? Is it really innocence? You know, I don't know, because when I scold her or when I get angry or when I get upset, I don't know, I don't want to be, it's like scolding a puppy, you know, and a puppy doesn't know what they're doing is right or wrong, you know? So I just want clarification on how to handle better the situation and how to help her.
Sure. Thank you so much for sharing that, Joanna, and also like just your transparency and really just to share that, especially because it's quite private and with your family. So thank you for that. I think every time when it comes to a child with autism diagnosis, on our team, we try our best to see it from their perspective. And so the minute you explained that she put the soiled pad into the washing machine, immediately I remember her when you were on the scholarship model a few years ago. Like, I think that was one of the strategies they were trying to teach, right? For her to do some chores and laundry. And then you mentioned that as well. So I could see from Abriana's perspective, a little bit of confusion as to whether the pad and underwear or panties are the same thing. And maybe from her perspective, just putting it in the into the washing machine, she may think it's like reusable. And, you know, or like she may just think it's just to clean it. Because also, like, I just think about it from her perspective. Imagine just being very like, just simple or sort of like naive like that. You just kind of think, okay, everything that's dirty we put into the washing machine. So she would see, like, if she stained the blanket, we don't throw that away, we put that in the washing machine. If you took clothes, you put that in the washing machine. But then, you know, how come then with the pad itself, you don't put it in the washing machine? I could see it from her perspective.
Okay.
And
wow.
so I think
Wow.
I think we would always err on the side of that they don't know. So we typically believe that about most of our children, that they're not intentionally doing something, but
Yes.
they may have learned a certain behavior, and they may learn that when they do that behavior, this is the outcome, and so they keep doing it more and more. So like in the past, where she would scream or use aggression to communicate, I think it's not that she's purposely doing that, but I think she just didn't have another way to communicate, and she didn't know how else to get what she wanted, or to stop, or to express frustration. So the only thing she can resort to is aggression. So what we're gonna talk about is back to, like, when it comes to teaching, when it comes to something like this, okay, like a kind of, it's complex. There's different parts to it. There's the parts of the emotional regulation. There's the parts of, like, what to do with the pad. It's so great that you're still using the social, you had the social story and the visual schedule, and that she understands that, she knows how to use a pad and all. So then let's think of, I think every time we come to like a plan, we always talk about prevention. We talk about teaching strategies. So prevention and teaching are both proactive strategies. That Stephanie's pulled it up already. So when there's a challenging behavior, you're trying to work on a certain area, you're always going to work on proactive and reactive strategies. Under proactive would be teaching, and preventative. And so when immediately when we talk about what you just described with Abriana, when we talk about preventative first, let's talk about really increasing the communication. So the social story about having period, what does that look like? Like actually explaining to her this will happen. But then also with that, we also introduce like that calendar piece, which kind of teaches her that on a cycle. And I think actually Steph has made some really nice resources. I'm not sure whether it's in the PowerPoint, but Steph has this like, she made like a calendar, which she's going to put on our Autism at Home platform for everyone to anyone to download. But essentially then you've got these sort of 28-day cycle. And so then you put like a kind of prediction that the period is going to come on this date. And then Steph actually circled a few days before that you may start to feel pain. And that's in a social story as well. You may start to feel like really like red or like angry. And then with that then, actually just showing her that. And for you guys as parents, you and Sam, you have a lot going on. It's going to be hard for you to remember the calendar. You're not going to check the calendar every day. If you can every day, it will help her. But I was just thinking a simple solution for yourself would be to set an alarm. So if you had an alarm for yourself, like a timer, so this is this is a social story that Steph did. Steph, you want to just walk us through this? That's why we just said that the content in this may not be appropriate for children below 13 because it is quite graphic, but Steph, go ahead.
Sorry to interject there, because you're talking about the social story. So I thought this might be a good time for, anyone tuning, wondering, oh, what's a social story? So you can explain a bit more about what that is and what we use it for. So social stories are basically, for those who may not be so clear in it, are like little storybooks. You can think of it that way. They come with a lot of pictures that explain to children and with autism, just what's going to happen, what they're going to expect, and what are some of the things they can do. So I just wanted to show this sample of a social story, and we will actually include some samples in our YouTube description for anyone to download and edit as they need to. So for example, this is a classic one, which explains to say I think, Abriana went through this when she was 11 or 12. She read a similar social story. What's a period? When I get my period, blood will come out of me. My clothes might stain. So because of that, I need to use a pad or a tampon so my clothes don't get stained. And that calendar that Joe mentioned is what I meant here, where you can see a very graphically highlighted red certain parts of the month, and to give that predictability that it usually lasts between 4 to 7 days. And on top of that, what gives them that predictability is also to explain that, hey, during this time of the month, those few days before that red zone, I might feel angry or sad or annoyed. This is normal. Or for girls as well, my breasts, my stomach, my back might also feel sore. That's something that can happen for some girls as well. And then it just ends with some strategies they can do if they feel stuck. And I think Joe will go into strategies also to how to manage those feelings eventually. Like if I feel stomach pain, I can tell mom or dad. I can use a hot water bottle. A lot of girls do that. Some families might be okay to give some pain relief medication. So that's just a really quick walkthrough. And usually we read this quite frequently, especially in the days leading up to the period just coming, to just remind them, these are your strategies. This is what you can do. Okay, right, Joel, back to you.
Great, thank you so much, Steph. So that you can see, Joanna, that's basically the social story pad with the calendar. So then back to those, if you can pull up the slide of the preventative strategy, just that whole table or the graph, Steph, because then when we come back to preventative, so we talked about social story, we talked about calendar, then we also, I was thinking also, we could really have, like I was just thinking, like she's like a young child in many ways, like who may accidentally pee in their pants or pee in the bed, or even like stain their pants when they do a poo or something like that. So in a very similar way, we want to sort of like maybe simplify expectations, that we don't expect her to never do that. But I was thinking even on the bed, Joanna, we could have, like, I'm sure you already have it, but just for anyone else, it would be a simple like mattress protector. Because then when there is a stain, that's, you know, obviously something that can immediately like just resolve that, or like keep the mattress protected. But then the other thing would be to have those pads available quite close by, so it's easy to reach and she can grab that. So those are some preventative strategies. Then we'll move on into teaching strategies, and then we'll come back to you, Joanna, if you have any questions. So on the teaching front, now this is the part where you've already taught her how to put the pad, and then in the social stories that Steph said to use a wing one or even a thicker one so that it prevents staining. Then I was thinking, like, some children may find it difficult to understand that when the pad is full, that's when I change the pad, which is what all of us would know how to do. But then she may not understand that. So what I would suggest is a simpler way is to actually set a timer for Abriana, that we would actually change that timer to remind her, check if the pad is full. We actually at EAP use this strategy for some of our children who can't, maybe they can't feel that they need to go to toilet, or they don't know how to like tell. So it actually just beeps. When the timer beeps, there's a picture of a toilet to remind them, is it time to go to toilet? So in a similar way, that would be a very, very like easier strategy that would help her be successful. Then the other thing would be to teach her these relaxation strategies. So instead of her coming to pull your hair, which we, you know, I mean, like, again, we honor you for doing that for your daughter, but in no way do you want her to be hurting you. And you definitely don't want her to hurt your other children either. So definitely don't want her to practice that. But there are plenty of other things that she can do, like Steph put in there, like a hot water bottle, or to say, to like kind of request for some Panadol, maybe something that would help relieve, or a hot cup of tea, or like, you know, hot warm water, or hot chocolate, something that would just kind of bring some relief. So those are some things that we would say to actually teach those activities proactively. So that would include like emotional regulation, when you're in pain, what to do. And then, like, you know, one of your questions also, you were thinking like how to teach her that when she has a period, she can't go like swimming, for example, or she can't do certain activities just because of the period. So even that, it will be, oh, I've got my period, but these are the activities you can do. So those are what we call teaching, because you're going to be teaching her that not just when the period comes, but just in general at other times, you know, throughout, like as you said that Sam does a session, you do a session, one of your lessons would be on puberty. So you're teaching her proactively because she'll need that practice. Then another thing I was thinking we should teach her would be when there is a stain, what to do to get help. I think for now, rather than trying to clean it up and resolve it herself, just to come and get help, mama, or papa, like there's something, so that you can then help her, and then you show her what to do again. So this is one thing I was thinking that we could note down in terms of teaching. You could actually teach to discriminate that this one is to throw rubbish and this one is to wash. So for example, like with like a pad and the undies, you would actually wash the undies, but you would throw the pad. So then we would just keep reminding her that the pad is always for being thrown, So that would be to teach that discrimination as well. Okay, what are your thoughts with that, Tiana? Does that make sense a little bit? Does that cover some of the questions?
Yeah, I think I really like the idea of the timer beeping thing to indicate that when she, because I'm trying to figure out ways where she can kind of be independent on her own.
Yes.
Yeah, because
exactly.
I find her constant relying, like, for example, if I'm not there, and there's so many situations when I am not there, and then I come back and I find that certain things were not done, and she was not able to get certain things done. So it really got me frustrated. It's like, am I the only one in this house that is able to help this child? That cannot be that I'm doing something wrong, because, it can't be I'm the only one that can help her, She either has to find independence. So this timer beep to indicate when to go and change. I think that really, because what happens right now is I walk into her room and I tell her, Adriana, let Amma check.
Yes.
And, I think that needs to stop.
Yeah. So some prerequisites for this, meaning like skills that she does need in order to do all that Steph and I are suggesting, would be that she does need to, of course, know visuals, which we know she already knows. She recognizes that she has some ability to follow instructions. That would be a second one. She has got some self-help skills, like basically like she can use the toilet. She can like do a bit of basic laundry. Then what about like toilet training and changing her own clothes? So specifically in toilet training, is she very independent with that, even for poos and all that?
Yeah.
She's fully independent. She's quite independent. Okay, great. Showers, all that.
Yeah. It's just it's just the length of time sometimes tends to go on. I don't know. Water is calming for them. So that's not just her, my son also.
Yeah. So even that also, you can put a timer that, there's a 20-minute timer.
Yeah.
One way you can do it is you can set it in the bathroom. So there's not like a stuck on the wall. You just basically click 20 minutes. And then when it beeps, you finish, your shower.
I think my husband also needs a timer.
I was just thinking it might, but
everyone in the house could use a bathroom timer.
Yeah. It is probably the one place where they can get some peace and quiet. With 6 people in the home, I'm sure that's the one place no one interrupts and so on. So I think that if she is toilet trained and she can change her clothes and all, I think then I think that this part of knowing when to change her sanitary pad before it gets too full and before it stains, I think should be pretty easy for her to learn. But it's just got to be like proactively taught and reinforced. And then the other thought I had was some families like maybe practice washing undergarments immediately after using, when you go to the shower, you just immediately wash your undergarments and like hang it to dry, or still put it into the washing machine, but you kind of like wash it first, especially if there are some stains and all that. That could be a simple step that you put into your daily practice with Abriana. So daily independence, like now there's a new thing that every time after she just, when she has a shower, if she has it at night, then the undergarment that she was wearing, she just washes it and then like puts it in the washing machine, or like whichever kind of routine that you think will be the easiest. Because that's one very simple way to make sure that even if she stains her undies and all that, she just automatically, it's a regular routine that every day she does, and not just when she has her period. Yeah,
she's really good with routines. She likes set routines. So I think if she anticipates when the period is coming, and if she can see on a calendar and see that it's going to come, so what happens if the days kind of run, like if they don't exactly come on that particular date?
And that I think will happen. So that's where some of the kind of language you would use is, oh, it's almost here. Oh, it's not here yet. But because you're almost here, then you could, and this is where like, I was thinking stuff like, I was sort of like zones of regulation. Did you ever do that program, Tiana, about like recognizing emotions?
Recognizing emotions, yes. Sad, angry. I am feeling angry. I am feeling sad.
Because that's one of the things I was just thinking in your daily sessions with her. I think that would be an important program to practice, like just, you know, hey, how are you feeling? Like, and actually you can even do it with your other children, to have like a kind of emotion game in it. You can have like the colors on an A4 paper, and like red is you're feeling angry, yellow you're feeling a little bit upset, or like I think it's green you're feeling really happy, just right, blue you're feeling a bit sad or you're feeling a bit sick. So then basically when you talk around the dinner table, you can actually go, hey, let's look at our emotion cards, and how are you feeling today? So then Tiona, you might say green because, you know, I had a great day, and then did something good happen, and your daughter may say something else. And then it just helps maybe Brianna, she obviously doesn't have to say the whole sentence, but she could just identify with even a sticking her face, like, so you can have one big card and then you can have your faces there. And basically that would also help her proactively recognize emotions. And then recognize her emotions, and also like then, okay, so if you're feeling a bit blue or you're feeling a bit sad or sick, then what do you do? And then how can you regulate those emotions? So then that's where if you're with her, and this is the part that it won't be, I will say it's a bit hard to be fully independent on her own, because it will need quite a bit of fair practice first, where you're showing her the calendar and then you're telling her again, okay, there's like 5 more days till your period might come. And then, oh, it hasn't come yet. How are you feeling? And so if she's feeling any of these things, then you're reminding her again. You can go and take a Panadol. She says, amma pain or something, she's pointing at her stomach. Then, you know, the cramps are starting. But you're making it very, very visual for her, so that she can actually like follow and follow and like kind of recognize that, follow that along.
Yeah, I think that I'm actually very excited about that, because when she's happy, there was one day when she actually said, "Amma, Brianna is so happy." You know, she's just like, it just came out of her.
Very good.
You know, Amma, Brianna is so happy, and I was like, you know, I was just blown in the face to hear that, and so I was just thinking that when it gets difficult for her to express pain, or because that's when the anxiety comes in.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking that maybe if I were to do it every day, like you said,
yes,
involved in the teaching sessions that I do with her. Because right now my teaching sessions are just very cikgu. They're very teaching, you know.
Yeah.
They're like all these maths and English and
Yeah.
science and your vowels. Hey, Brianna, where's your vowels?
Yeah.
You know, I'm just thinking, hey, this is going to help her with her emotional state, you know.
Yes.
This is really good stuff, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, and I think that's where I was just writing down on my notepad here that as your sessions, they have to have a good balance and not just be an academic lesson, but it has to also come back to like, are you strengthening her independent skills? So this is where, you know, that whole part of like sorting, like you can even, you know, we would have done this a few years ago, but basically to teach a child how to like discriminate is a sorting concept. So you have things you throw away, you sort into this pile, things you don't, like you can use pictures and you can actually use items, things that you throw and things that you can wash, things that you throw, things that you can wash. So then that will just help it become more concrete for Brianna. That would be another thing. So independence, I would definitely say you need to have a good, healthy practice of emotions, because that will really help her talk about her own emotions. And I think when you say like, you're happy, it's good to say why. You're happy because, and even modeling that language. You're sad because of this, or you're sick, you're in pain because of this. So then she's able to see. And if you have that in a visual, then when you talk, you actually use the visual. She'll also be looking at it and hearing it. And the kids are also, you know, saying it. And then I think it's also good for your two younger ones to also be able to express how they are feeling, especially with they also having a certain amount of pressure, having two siblings on the spectrum. I think it'll be a really healthy activity. And then, of course, you want to always increase that part of communication. So communication being like whatever it is that you want Brianna to practice, like communicating for something, asking for help, saying she's in pain, even watch, like you can even watch a simple like video and then kind of like comment about it. So she's actually learning and developing from her environment as well. I remember her and she's actually a really like clever girl, and I think she's motivated to learn. She's motivated by people as well. And I think just hearing how much she has changed in the last few weeks since we met really shows that she's still got a lot in her. I think a lot more to grow and to enjoy her life as well. Yeah.
She really likes funny things. She likes to look at clownish behavior. She really enjoys jokes, and she gets a kick out of laughing at it.
Oh, that's so
really
sweet.
It's really nice and interesting to get to know her now, because I find that with the aggression that has come down, I see the character come out, and I'm so happy that I can finally get to know her.
Yeah, so good. So I think when we're talking about this part of puberty, then you're talking about, especially when it comes to girls, I mean, boys will be separate, but girls, there's different types of changes. But the first would be that whole part of bodily changes and menstruation and all for girls. Then it's the part of personal hygiene, which is what you just talked about. And I think with that, it would be the pads, but also with that, it would be things like, so this is the part of the key areas of changes. So sexuality for men, bodily changes for men and women, personal hygiene, menstruation cramps. So these are some of the key areas of changes when it comes to males and females. And we definitely want to prepare them adequately for that. Going to the next slide, Steph. Would be, these are the parts that Stephanie actually prepared these social stories on puberty. Do you want to just share a bit more about that, Stephanie, or I'll keep going first? What do you think?
Keep going. They're just previews of the kind of social stories that we can use to prepare our kids, and I'll actually be including the templates in our YouTube description, so anyone can just download them and have a look.
Yeah, thank you, Steph. That's really, really useful, because it'll be different later on for Aaron as well, Tiana, definitely for that. And then the second one was the personal hygiene, and then the third is the whole part of relationships and sexuality. And I think that's something that you did wonder, how much to teach her and so on. And I think I think there's a few factors to this. Generally, I would say it's like how much, I know her age is 14 years old, but developmentally, how old is she? And so with that, then it's also then, juggling the balance of that, of between being her typical age, but also being her developmental age, which may be a bit younger. She may not understand it, or she may take it out of context, or so. And I think then the other factor to consider would be your personal beliefs, like you and your husband, Sam, in terms of culture and different cultures. Some would want to tell everything to the kids. Some would want to kind of keep certain parts discreet. But I think the most important, I think we lost Joanna there. Oh, there we are.
Sorry, guys.
No, not all. I think the most important, though, would be that whole part of safety. And when it comes to especially teenagers, any minors, children, somebody coming in to say hi. Hello.
Trying to get my charger in.
Oh, okay. No problem. This happens to us. I just now also dipped strangely below to get my charger as well. That's one thing that every day is needing to be charged and charged. So what I was saying is, I think the most important is safety. I think that is something that can't be taken for granted in any way because of Abriana's age and her growing changes and so on. You want to make sure that just like a young child, she's protected. And I think we can make a kind of story and social story and all that on what is public and what is private. And so basically certain things you do in private with only your mom helping you, and nobody else can come into that space. And that particularly with bedrooms, with toilets, and then also on your body. These are areas that are totally what we call red zones. So that means your private areas, which we usually say from your shoulders, just to be clear, right out to your knees, any part in that area, just to be more in general, that area, as well as specifically that no one should touch that area, that it's private. And I think that part of public and private is very important. And then lastly would be the part of circle of friends. So with the circle of friends, which I think you might have done before, maybe a while ago, but with circle of friends, we would definitely want to remind that the most inner circle, and we don't have a visual of it, but we can always put one up on the website. The circle of friends is the most intimate, the closest, most inner circle is maybe even at this stage, because she's 14, it may even be just mom. And then after that would be the rest of the family, immediate family, and then extended family. But with that, you pair that visual with public and private, and you pair that with what is appropriate. So like shaking hands, high five is appropriate for like people that are in the outer circles. And if it's strangers, you don't even have to look, you don't even have to talk to them, and stranger danger kind of thing. But then in the innermost circles is when you might actually like hold hands with your mom, or she can sit on your lap, but not with others anymore. So no more like those affectionate hugs, would only be with mom. You get what I mean? Like, I think that would be the most important when it comes to this whole aspect of relationships and sexuality, to really protect her, to teach her what is private, what is hers. And then of course, if there's any, I mean, we can always put it into the social story and try to teach her that if she feels uncomfortable or anything has happened, for her to communicate that. And that's the part which is tricky to teach, how to communicate, because I know she may not be all the time very verbal and so on. But you just want to look out and make sure that she's taken care of in that sense. Yeah. So we've done that quite often, Tiana. We do that quite regularly with our kids. Quite a few of them, we actually do it from quite young as well. So that's where I do feel like, like on one hand, you want children to cooperate, but at the same time, when they say no, you want them to go, no means no. Like when they say, I don't want that, and I don't want, like I am saying no about something, I think we also want to respect that and honor that, because she also must be able to say no, because in the worst event that she's in a situation, she will be like a minor, and she'll be quite helpless. So that's the part where she must be able to just say no, and realize she can do that as well. So does that answer that that kind of like thought on like the whole part of, the whole concept of sexuality and all of that?
Yeah, it does. It's just, it's giving me a lot to think about, because it's like currently right now, her scope of people with the CMCO and the MCO and all that, so it's really been really cut down massively. So I am it's a lot to digest, but
and I think just the just like I think the nature of us being in Malaysia and all, I think if we were in a maybe different country, or where there's more acceptance and awareness and all that, I think basically like living in KL, it's not safe for even typical 14-year-olds to really be just walking around and all that.
Yeah,
so I think even especially with someone like Abriana, you'd be extra mindful of that, given the fact that she would she would not be able to communicate. You want to make sure that she's well protected. That would be the priority. Oops, I think we lost her over there. No worries at all.
I'm back.
Yeah, so I think we touched on a few different areas. Like we touched on the whole aspect of teaching strategies in terms of preventative strategies. We talked about the whole part of menstruation, personal hygiene. So with personal hygiene, another thought would also be like the undergarments and all. She's aware how to wear those, like the bra and everything. And then does she need to learn? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, the basics, like I said, EAP had gone through with us at that junction. So in fact, the social story had even a very clear indication of what parts of her body would change.
Yeah.
So I think that was very key in her anticipating growth, because as it starts to show little bit by little bit, you start to have a little bit of hair, you start to have a little bit of growth, you start the chest starts to become bigger. And in that book, it actually showed those stages. So I could actually pinpoint to her, look, you are in this stage, you've got this amount growing, you're this amount huge, and it's going to get bigger. So that really helped. And that social story, actually, I was able to sit with her every night and go through. So that point of time when she was 11 years old, and this is before the whole emotional, hormonal thing came in. So she was somewhat calmer.
Great.
Which is why I felt very sad, very disappointed in myself as a mom, that I was not able to anticipate what the hormonal changes brought to her anxiety and how it messed up the relationship. You're talking about 2 years of just completely going into aggression because she just didn't know how to deal with the hormonal changes, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I think the thing that we always encourage parents is you're doing the best that you can do. And I think for the time that has, you know, gone past, like it's already in the past, and like, you know, thankfully we can pivot from here. We can redeem whatever time that's been lost. And I think even with what you and Sam have already been doing, which is really remarkable, I think that it can only get better from here. So I think just knowing what else that she needs to understand and communicate. And I think one thing that I just wanted to kind of finish on is that reactive strategies. So I think when a situation happens, like maybe she accidentally put her pad again into the washing machine or stain. And I think it's very, very like those kind of toileting things are very frustrating and very challenging. I think just to try to restrain reacting, because I think that's the part that is very difficult not to react. So whether you need to just, you know, breathe and walk away from that situation and then come back because you're like, you know, you're trying to pivot yourself essentially because you're going to really lose it. Or you're going to have to do those clothes again. I think it's just trying to not react, because that's a moment just to teach her, oh, Brianna, that doesn't go there, it goes here. And if she suddenly gets into a super aggressive place because of hormones or whatever it is, you know, you go back to the calendar and then you want to help her. That's where with the relaxation strategies, you want to have visuals that can say, okay, Brianna, you are at a red zone right now. You're really upset. Choose one of this. Let's relax. Let's calm down and let's relax. So she's not pulling your hair and screaming. Let's just breathe and count to 10 and like actually help her relax. I know that when she was younger, and with lots of our kids, we would try to extinct it as well if you can. But I think that if you can, like, I mean, like you do a reverse timeout where you leave her alone and basically leave the room and let her calm down by herself. If that's going to work, that would be the best strategy. But if she's going to then attack you and then attack one of the other kids and to try and get her to the room is going to be much more violent, then I would recommend you either just leave the room yourself with the other kids and give her some space, and hopefully there's no breakables around and all that. Or you redirect her to this board of how to relax and calm down. That would be the reactive, because I feel we just need to give you comprehensive. You've got preventative, you've got teaching, and you've got reactive strategies. And in the reactive part, that's the one where it's so easy to like just, you know, really react and get really upset. But unfortunately, then based on our experience, the behaviors only get worse and kind of like you lose that momentum of how much she's already learned, and she can kind of have a dip. And that can be challenging.
I think I'm really excited because I've seen what just that one webinar was able to achieve with just communicating to her. I mean, I'm really excited about that timer. I'm excited about I wrote it down. I'm not gonna. I'm excited about the things you throw and the things that you wash. I'm so excited about that because I know that that's gonna help. And things teaching her to anticipate the schedule, you know, I'm just so excited because I know that this is gonna help me. I know even a little bit in that webinar, come on, we're talking about like behavior 3 times a day, 2 times a day, and really, really aggressive behaviors. And within just implementation of all that we talked about, and then bam, you know, she felt loved. I don't know, she felt like she mattered, you know, and it helped. And so I'm so looking forward to this stuff because I know that even though there may be times I'm going to have to go into that preventive reactive strategies. I'm going to have to do that once in a way, maybe, but I'm also so excited to see how this is going to play out. You know?
Great. You want to just put 90% because we always advise our parents, ourselves, that at the end of the day, it's going to be your energy. It's just whether your energy is going to be used before the meltdown or to prevent the meltdown after. So if you prevent it before, you may not even have the meltdown. She's happy, everybody's happy, and it's an energy that's like fueling. Like it fuels you. But if you don't prevent it and then a massive meltdown happens and you're having to react and all that, that energy is really depleting. So it will just exhaust you and exhaust your husband and your family. So if you just think, okay, I'm going to be proactive about this, I'm going to prevent it, we're going to turn it around before it gets to a bad place and really set her up. That's the whole concept of ABA, is to really set a child up to be successful. Yeah, so you actually see it from her perspective and you go, okay, I'm going to help Abriana have a great day. I'm going to help her learn well. I'm going to help her be happy in general. And you might even see, Tiana, that actually even her period and all may not be the kind of hormonal reactions as before, because she may be in general in a better, stable place and happier in general. So you might find that the low is not so low as well, possibly. And then with all the strategies of teaching her how to like cope and all that, I think that would definitely help lah. Yeah, we're so excited to have you, join us again, and I'm sure everyone listening also is excited to hear your story and how the changes have impacted your family. So thanks so much, Tiana. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for helping me out. It's been great, and I just my family, we've just gone from hiding away and not seeing everyone. It's really healed relationships. So.
Wow, that's amazing. Amazing to hear.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you, all the therapists. You guys,
shout out to EP therapists all watching right now.
Yes. Each and every one of you, all the love that you give to your kids, don't ever discount that. Don't ever
Amen.
discount that.
So true. So true.
Okay, so again, thank you so much, Tiona, for joining us a second time today and sharing your experiences and the questions that you had. Of course, Joe, for all those really useful recommendations. Like, I'm excited hearing them as well, and excited for you, Tiona. I'm sure you're gonna just go straight into it and start applying it today itself. So that we're kind of then coming up to the end of our webinar today, and we really hope that's been helpful to any families who've tuned in today as well. Maybe your kids are going through the same experiences, or they might be going through that in a few years' time, and it's good to have that preparation, that foresight. So again, as we mentioned earlier, for anyone's interested, we do have some links to social stories on puberty in our YouTube description below. So do feel free to download them and use them as you need to, as what would work for your child at the end of the day. So do be sure to visit us on autismathome.co. For anyone who hasn't heard about it yet, this is where we put all free lessons online on just how to teach your child autism at home, just using really simple strategies. Our next lesson is actually coming out in just a couple of weeks. It's interesting we talked about social stories, because if you've ever wondered how to make your own visuals and social stories for children with autism, well then, this series is for you. So it's coming on the 6th of November, mark your calendars, and soon you guys will be like Tiona and you'll be your own therapist at home. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's great, Stephanie. And Stephanie does so much behind the scenes. So in this series, which is our 6th series, Stephanie will actually be the main teacher or main facilitator. So we do, you are right, Tiana, we have an amazing team at EAP. Just shout out to all our therapists, especially our supervisors and senior supervisors. They do so much for our normal day-to-day work, but also we've got this nonprofit side, which the whole team is super excited about. And so really thankful for our amazing team. So thank you, Steph.
Thank you, Joe, and our EP team as well. Okay, so then of course be sure to hit that subscribe button, follow us EP Malaysia on Instagram and Facebook, and I guess that's all for today. Thank you everyone for joining in today, and really hope that you have a good week ahead.
Great. Bye. Thank you. Bye everyone. Thanks, Steph. Thanks, Joanna. Take care.